quite well. And was that I saw the countdown pop up right in the middle. We're all a little discombobulated to start the show. We're going to be all right.
That was a green room countdown. The folks don't see that, I guess. Just we do.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw it across my screen, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
It's like it's Mario Kart. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, away we go. This is a weird week. We're not that far away now, guys. Days until college football, 39 and 39 and 23, 22 hours, something like that. But we're not that far away. You count it down now. Next week is the week we head to Charlotte for ACC kickoff. And in the interim, live here today, live tomorrow, best ofs rest of the week. That's how this is going to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as we get the last of our vacation time going before everything starts, before ACC kickoff begins. SEC Media Day is going on right now. This is it. You've got All-Star Week, Home Run Derby, All-Star Game, and all that kind of stuff, but not a ton. This is the bridging of the gap before it all gets going. The thing that'll save you, if you like golf, you're in luck. You got the Open. Other than that, you are kind of awaiting news out of Atlanta, Georgia this week. Sankey addressed, because he likes to talk, in particular about himself and his thoughts and the SEC. But we're in news of it because he and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, speaking 4 out of the 5 days last week, acknowledged that the SEC and the Big Ten don't necessarily see things the same way, and these are the two power brokers in all of college football. And you do realize December 1st is the deadline to determine a format for the college football playoff in 2026 and beyond. And he went on to say that, look, college football is in the midst of transition. We're going to have to figure some things out. The courts can't necessarily decide everything for us. We've got from within to answer these questions that plague college athletics. And he wanted to reiterate that he didn't believe college football was broken in any way, but that the answers lie within the sport itself. We'll see. I don't know that they're going to come to an agreement here anytime soon on what to do, but they have until December 1st. So that's where we sit now. Florida State players drafted. Congratulations to all those that have been drafted, and still others will as the day goes on. But Jamie Arnold goes number 11, the 11th pick overall, goes to the A's. It's funny, when I saw that it was the A's that grabbed Jamie Arnold, obviously anybody that gets drafted in the first round is realizing a dream come true, and you're happy for the young man, and you celebrate that. On the other hand, I'm like, the A's? But as Tom correctly pointed out, they'll be in Las Vegas by the time Jamie gets called up, and that won't be such a bad life. And I would agree, not such a bad life. Alex Lodis going, and listen, Lodis is a fun player to watch. When you think about your coaching staff and you get a transfer to come in and he's viewed a certain way, and by the time he leaves, he's drafted by the Atlanta Braves early in round 2. You can say, hey, some of that certainly was the young man's talent. But you can also say, we develop people here. We take you to another level. It's a good tool, and I think he's right. If you're Link and you want to bring that up, I would. Leiter goes. Most of you are like, whatever. Max Williams goes. Good job, Max. Mr. Farrow goes earlier this morning, and I'm happy for Drew Farrow. Adam Farrow was a guy I watched play when I was in school. It's hard to believe this is where we're at now. His son is drafted, but he is, and he goes in the 4th round. Joey Volini goes in the 6th round. Prescott goes in the 5th round to your Mets.
Did they really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a bunch of dudes having Tommy John, so he'll fit right in.
Yeah, so this is Yeah, Peyton Prescott with the 163rd pick overall. The Marlins took Joey Votto. The Marlins feel strongly about Florida State players. So, not far to travel. Not far to travel. And good luck to Peyton Prescott, who does have to have the surgery, as you correctly know. That felt so bad for that young man. It's like he had just figured out how to pitch. Grand opening, grand closing. The stuff, though, was good enough.
I'm going to miss that middle of the infield defense. It's going to be tough to match what we saw this year from short and second base in terms of the defense, turning double plays, range, all that kind of stuff. That will be sorely missed. I know Link Jarrett puts a premium on defense. Everybody says they do, but so far he's shown that he does care a lot, especially infield, being able to turn it. I wonder who those solutions are going to be this year. We'll see. But it'll be very difficult. Much like this year was going to be tough for this lineup in 2024, what year are we in? 2025, to match the 24 group in terms of home runs, power, slug, all that stuff. We knew there was going to be a drop-off. There's going to be a drop-off in college defensive runs saved, if that was ever a true metric they kept in the NCAA, from your shortstop and your second baseman. Congratulations to all, though.
It's been fun to watch those kids come in here and flip this program, be partly responsible for flipping this program to a place now where, I mean, this is a week where we're reflective for a lot of reasons. We're about to take off, and you're thinking about the new season and all of that, and standards and living up to said standards, or getting back to standards and trying to hold people accountable and what's reasonable and what isn't. Well, there's no doubt what the Florida State baseball program has done. It has transitioned to a place where it once was, and that is held in lofty regard with expectations of postseason berths annually, expectations of 40-plus wins and regionals and supers and trips to Omaha, or at least damn near, and all of that. And that's because of the players we've got to watch in the last couple of years that have now subsequently been drafted. Link's done a great job of coming in here, getting it back to the standard that we once held it to, and I would have that expectation year in and year out, no matter what they lose. Now that reminds me, and this is what we're trying to get to back to in football, and Lord knows we got a ways to go, but there was a time here in football where every year you lost a bevy of NFL draft picks. That's what happened. You recruited really well, you developed talent, you played at an elite level, you won a bunch of games, and then you watch those young men go off to chase their dreams in the National Football League, and on Sundays you flipped around and you went, there's another no, there's another no, there's another no. And you know what it didn't do? It did not impact in any way, shape, or form the expectation of the following season. It really didn't. You basically understood that, well, life might be harder if you lost your starting quarterback, might be harder if you lost an all-world wide receiver or middle linebacker. But the expectation was that you're not a victim of your success, and you've recruited and you developed, and hopefully you'll be in a place to win 10, 11 games again next year. Yeah, maybe a shade or a degree here or there. You might say, well, with a new starting quarterback, I won't predict us to win the national title, but I do think we ought to be a contender. And in baseball, I think Leake's got it back to a place now because he's recruited really well. Look at what they've brought in this offseason, the bevy of arms that they've brought in now that, I think they've whiffed on a couple of position players they wanted to get, so they just put it all in the arms. And now you've got proven arms from both sides that they've brought in here, left and right side. And you would expect whatever it looks like, it's going to be successful. It may not be a home run barrage of 2 years ago, although this last year's offense was not too short of the previous year's offense. It wasn't too far removed. It did at least resemble to some degree the offensive juggernaut that it was the previous season. However you got to do it, you just expect it to be great. And I don't think Link would have it any other way. I think every good coach understands that there's a standard, and you're wanting to be held to that. You're wanting to be, especially if you played here like he did, and you were an All-American like he was. You expect it.
Well, and I think, too, that on the Sunday before the All-Star game next year, for the Major League Baseball draft, the name Miles Bailey is going to be called fairly early. I get that power at first base, it's you see in the free agent market, it's not the most lucrative job in the world relative to some others, but that is a bat that is going to have 70 power, 75 power. The scouts grades go 20 to 80. I can't wait to see what they put for Miles Bailey in terms of power. It is to all fields. It is prodigious, and he's going to be celebrating 1 year from now as long as he stays healthy And as long as the progression is, it doesn't even have to be exponential growth year over year. If he just kind of does the same thing, maybe steps it up just a little bit, man, people are going to be talking about that bat during the first round of the Major League Baseball draft next year.
So if you're going to base the rating, and you're right, they go 20 to 80. If you're going to base the rating on the potential of what it will be, well, it's an 80. I mean, he's an 80. There's no, you're not projecting hardly anybody else in the game to ever have more power than he does. So yeah, I doesn't mean it'll translate for a prodigious Major League Baseball career, but if you're projecting the kind of power he possesses, it is exactly that. It's to all fields. It is.
He could hit one out of Forbes Field.
Yeah,
to center.
Yeah, to the 457.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the light tower power that he has. I mean, yeah, there's no doubt. Look, I think that, well, we're not going to get into a baseball discussion right now. We're happy for those young men that just got drafted, and there'll be more, and we're rooting for them, and you're just happy to see this change. And you know, in football, I was thinking about it, you know, SEC media days are underway. I saw some comments from Brian Kelly and the expectations for LSU. We're reminded of how it's not just Texas versus Ohio State early on. You have LSU and Clemson, which is in some ways a more intriguing game. The reason I say that is there's a very good chance that Texas, regardless of what happens in that game, will find themselves in the playoff. Same goes for Ohio State. I'm not as sure about LSU if they lose that game. Not as sure.
It's a large, important, very critical year for Brian Kelly.
And if you say that, if you say it's an important year for Brian Kelly, what kind of year is it for Mike Norvell? Because Brian Kelly wins 10 games every year, 9-10 games every single season. Now, he couldn't beat Mike Norvell twice, but he does find a way to go on to win 9-10 games in that league. And he is allegedly, like you said, perhaps on the hot seat.
Well, no, Mike's fine, because remember there was that hot seat rating, and he's a 3 to a 3.9 or whatever it was. It's get your stuff together soon, whatever that category was. No problems at all for Mike.
Yeah, so I don't think Brian got helped out at all by the fact that the place he left, in which he thought they could never compete for a national title, just played for one.
And said so in between his fake accents.
Said so is right. I just, kind of, it's interesting to think about. But he hasn't been a failure since being named the head coach at LSU in 2021, replacing a mess of a situation with Ed Orgeron. Kelly cited at the time that he wanted to be with the best. Well, he's noting that the previous 3 head coaches at LSU had won national titles, so that was the expectation there. He made his debut by losing to Florida State 24-23. And I'm thinking back on that now because I'm thinking about the compare and contrast of the two coaches and where we think we're headed, where we thought they were headed, what we thought they would do there, and, you know, what it was. He won 10 games in 23. They ended up being a good team in 2022.
Mostly the bowl games get him at 10 or 9. Like last year, they were 8-4 in the regular season.
He got to 9 wins last year. But I think he's had 2 10-win seasons and a 9-win season. I believe that's right. So
yeah, in his first year, they got to the SEC championship game, played Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah. But with Jaden Daniels, you would think you'd want to get a little bit more mileage.
Got a Heisman out of him. I believe they won the ReliaQuest Bowl. So they've had 2 10 and a 9. And my point is that finds them on the hot seat. And I don't think the standards at Florida State are below that of LSU's. Now, there is always the factor of money. You can't exclude the fact that there is always money. It muddies the water. And it's especially true these days. That's why we find ourselves having a very similar conversation to the folks in Baton Rouge. It's maybe that guy ought to be, not so sure that he is. kind of conversation. That's what we end up doing. I want to hold Mike to the highest standard, though, and so obviously this year's got to be a lot better, a lot better, and we're getting close to finding out, and we're counting down those days now. I do it over the weekend. For weeks, I didn't think about Florida State football over the weekend at all. Now I do. It's omnipresent in my head. I'm thinking about all of the different ways that this season can go and all the aspects of the roster change and coaching staff shift. And one day I feel really great about it. The next day I'm not so sure, and it goes back and forth and back and forth.
Do you envision all the uniform combinations in your head when you see those games being played out?
So it's funny you would bring that up because you and I like to talk about uniforms juxtaposed to, say, Ira, who doesn't ever want to talk about uniforms. But I think most people love to talk uniforms. And when the schedule comes out, I sometimes look at the schedule and say, what would I do here from a uniform standpoint? I do that. And that's one of the joys of the college football game is that you can make that decision.
Right. So what you'll do for Alabama, white helmet, turquoise top, gold pants?
That would never exist.
Garnet shoes.
The combination would never exist. No, for Alabama, immediately you go all tradition. It is just tradition. You are wearing your traditional home uniforms. You are not fooling with that in a game like Alabama. The games where you want to get creative and switch it up are games that are kind of tough to stomach. East Texas or whatever, then have as much fun with the uniforms as you'd like.
Well, wait a minute. You're not going to pull the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and go all white for the Alabama game and let them bake in the sun in their crimson?
I guess you could, but I wouldn't. No, I'm going to wear my standard
icy whites.
No, I'm going to wear my standard uniform. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference.
It makes literal degrees of difference.
It doesn't make a difference. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever in that football game. It will not make any difference. Just wear your traditional uniform for the home opener, for the stadium renovations, the home opener. Alabama comes to town. You wear your traditional home uniforms.
I feel like if it's 4th and goal at the 1.5-yard line, Florida State has a chance to win the football game. We've worn white all afternoon. They've worn their crimson all afternoon. And there's a collision. If you flip the uniforms, we lose that collision. If they were wearing the all whites, but since we're cooler, we're more hydrated, the body temperature's ready to go, they're exhausted, and there's the difference right there. I'm kidding, everybody.
Yeah. Now, I would say if our traditional uniforms were black, I might change my mind on the stance, but they're not. So it will be all right. I think it'll be all right. Yeah. One of these days, they will be the right shade of garnet again. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Some men follow the crowd. Others take the long way, the wayward way. At thewaywardgent.com, we've curated the gear, gadgets, and grit every respectable man needs, from the fairway to the fire pit. We've identified the top-rated Amazon finds, so you don't have to. No fluff, just the good stuff. Visit thewaywardgent.com for the man who's not afraid to live a little off course. Thewaywardgent.com.
Here's the cold, hard truth. Your body needs more than you're giving it to stay healthy. And now it's easier than ever with Vigor, the all-new cold plunge tub from Hot Spring Spas. Available only at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Cold plunges reduce muscle soreness, boost mood, improve sleep, and so much more. It's not just a trend, it's science-backed wellness. And now you can have it in your own home. Ready to feel alive again? Pinch A Penny has the exclusive home use solution. Visit us on Capitol Circle Northeast and take the plunge.
Tired of spending money on bug spray and inhaling all those fumes every time you want to go outside? Treat your yard so you can stop spraying your kids.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has a solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program which seeks the grounds, flower bed, and shrubs. Paul's controls pesky mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard. Not only are mosquitoes a physical irritation, they also pose a potential health risk to people and pets. With Paul's targeted techniques, you can rest assured that your yard will be protected and your afternoons will stay fun.
Take back your yard. Don't let mosquitoes interrupt the fun. For more information, go to callcalls.com. For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Calls. We'll get them all.
Calls can help eliminate fire ants from your lawn, too. We'll help you take your yard back.
Jewelry, Pentown for Jewelry, Pentown for Jewelry, home of the real nice price. Hey man, have you heard the sound? Pentown for Jewelry's the best in town. So rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. Pentown for Jewelry, Jewelry Store.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentown and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentown.
Pentown for Jewelry, Pentown for Jewelry, Pentown for Jewelry, home of the real nice price.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on a Monday of All-Star Week. Do you watch the Home Run Derby? You still watch the Home Run Derby? Do you have to have one of your guys in order to watch the Home Run Derby?
No, because Pete's annoying in the Home Run Derby.
But he's not in it this year, right?
Yes, thankfully, he's not.
He made some sort of excuse why he didn't want to be in it this year.
He wanted the rest or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, you could tell, you saw that the Phillies, clearly there was an edict from above because both Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez said, no, we're not going to pitch.
Right.
We're going to rest.
We're going to rest, yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to be a thing that infiltrates the All-Star game the way that bowl games are infiltrated by, guys.
Well, for
on.
pitchers, I can completely understand it. I mean, if it's an arm, there are plenty. That's always gone on. There have always been a case where people will say, look, man, you pitched too late to be out there pitching again here at the All-Star break. Other guys, it's a little different. Now, my man, Paul Skeens will start the All-Star game. I know that Knowles everywhere will be tuning in tonight for the Home Run Derby because of Kyle Raleigh.
Right.
And I'm excited for Kyle Raleigh. He's, by the way, Seattle's Kyle Raleigh is the betting favorite to win tonight's Home Run Derby.
Which side is his better side for power? That I don't know. I'm assuming it is.
I think it's his left side is what they said he'll be hitting from.
Okay,
something to do, well, probably the dimensions there in Atlanta.
Oh, it flies out to the chop house and right. That is true.
I think that's what I remember reading.
Right is a much better side of the field too. Yes.
So
yes.
Riley is a plus 300 favorite. So you can get him at plus 300 if you want to have fun with the home. Now, listen, I'm not telling you to bet. You do whatever you want to do. Do so responsibly. Be smart. If you don't have money to bet, don't bet. And if you don't like risks, don't do it. But at plus 300, listen, you're putting $100 to win $300. It's for people that don't understand. That's pretty cool. My guy, O'Neal Cruz, who I would like to think won't strike out tonight in the Home Run Derby, loves to swing and miss, but it's a Home Run Derby. So I would imagine these are going to be pitches he can handle. For those of you who don't watch O'Neal Cruz on a regular basis, you miss the occasional awe-inspiring highlight that leaves you mouth agape, meaning he can hit the ball further and harder than anybody in baseball, including Aaron Judge. It is absurd, the exit velocity that O'Neal Cruz generates at 6'7". He has had a ball hit this year at 122.4. Might have had a 124.2. At one point, it was the hardest hit ball since in the StatCast era. He hits baseballs very, very hard. Tom got to see one of them up close and personal.
Oh, yeah.
That rocket that went out over
It's
right.
a cruise missile.
Now, he can do that.
He can.
When he's not doing that, he's frequently striking out in one of the worst at-bats you've ever seen. He is all at once something to behold and something to make you want to punch your own testicles. If you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates, none of you are, so don't worry about it. He also has one of the strongest arms of anybody in the outfield or anywhere on a baseball field, period. With the ability to throw across the diamond when he was playing shortstop at over 100 miles per hour routinely. He's done the same throwing home a couple of times this year. He's in it. You can get him at plus 310. Home run derbies used to be somewhat unwatchable if you had the audio on because you had to hear Chris Berman. Is Berman still being dragged out there?
I never know because he weaseled his way back into NFL Countdown and playoff coverage. What? No, he was done. They kicked him off NFL Countdown. And now they're like, well, let's get the highlights with Chris Berman. Like, how? He retired. We saw this. He announced it. Stop, please. No more.
Yeah.
Special guest in Atlanta tonight, Boomer.
Oh, I know. It hurts my soul.
Although the ESPN MLB team that they have now isn't that. It should be Kirkjian and his son. Like they do that podcast. Have you heard any of those clips of?
Yeah, they're great.
His son sounds just like him.
Sounds just like him.
You just have two guys going, wow, whoa, why, that's really far. And then that's it. It's just two of them going up. Well, he hit the crap out of that. Instead of Ravitch and Eduardo and Kirkjian and Olney, they should just have the Kirkjians.
Robert, I'm old enough to remember Dave Kingman. I remember good old Dave Kingman. I remember Dave Kingman swinging and missing a lot and also hitting thunderous bombs. And I remember anticipating. Listen, the one thing about baseball with the super networks that they had back in the day, and that's why we have so many Braves fans in the region, obviously, or really all around the country, you find Braves fans because of TBS. But I would say WGN was the same way. You get a ton of Cubs fans outside of the state of Illinois because they got to watch the Cubs every day. They got to watch the Cubs every day. I was one of those kids that would come home from middle school and turn on WGN immediately, and there seems something magical about day baseball. Because I'm old enough to remember, Tom, before they had the lights put in to Wrigley Field.
There you go. They reference that in Field of Dreams.
Yes, they do. And I can remember when they played nothing but day games. And if you came home when you were my age, a little kid, the Cubs were on every day. They had to be. They were on every day. They had to be.
Harry Carey was wasted.
Couldn't wait. Him and Steve Stone, baby. And Steve would have to anchor in knowing that Harry was going to be obliterated by the fifth.
Who'd have won in the fifth?
This is true. It is a bygone era. But it is true that you could hear in some cases the can and the pull tab. You could literally hear if he made the mistake of doing that when they came back right to broadcast, he sometimes was just doing it and he thought he was beating the audio and you'd hear you're just like, that is fantastic, Harry.
There was a broadcast when I was a kid, I remember, because it didn't make any sense. I was 5 or 6 years old. I don't remember who the batter was for the Cubs, but they're down a run in the ninth. There's a runner on, 2 outs. So, this could be a walk-off. It's at Wrigley. And it's a drive to left. And if it wasn't for the winds, it's gone. And Harry thinks it's gone off the bat. And he's like, it's deep, it's to left, and it's caught. Go home, everybody. Go home. Like he was yelling at Cubs fans. Any other day that's out of here. Go home.
Yeah, you'd see it all the time, but Harry would be, the famous one is the one with he and Steve Stone where he's talking about the couple kissing.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well, I won't do a full-blown invitation, but
he
says basically, I figured it out. He's kissing her on the strikes. She's kissing him on the balls. and says it straight-faced because he's talking about strikes and balls in baseball, of course.
Right.
And you hear Steve Stone go, and it's just kind of quiet for a minute. And he was like, I was watching. And then,
I wasn't ready for that. Even though I knew you were setting it up, I wasn't ready for that. He did that, huh?
Yeah, he did it. He did it live on the air.
Oh, my God.
And he was dead serious. He didn't even realize that he did it.
Oh, he didn't realize
He
it.
didn't even realize that that could be, misconstrued. He was fixated on a couple behind home plate that were kissing after every pitch. And you could tell it bothered him because he was trying to figure it out for a while. I figured it out. And he's pointing, he's kissing her on the strikes, and she's,
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a guy at Citi Field who is the new Marlins man. Because Marlins man was very annoying. I know he's a Florida State guy, but stop it. I'm glad there's less of him. You'll still see him in a lot of games. But there's this guy who's about 5 rows behind, and I don't think he's I think he's well adjusted enough. He's clearly wealthy as hell to be able to sit in that seat every game.
Every game, yeah.
And before every pitch, he points. And then if it's a strike, he celebrates like he did it. I'm like, all right, man. Okay.
Well, you're getting into a subject that over the years has been debated, talked about a lot. You know how Jets guy, the Jets, the fireman Ed or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
All right. So you know how guys like that are sometimes seen as endearing to the fan base, right? There's somebody in the dog pound. Who was the 700-pound dude at the dog pound?
From afar, yeah. If you catch them 3 times a year and you're not a Jets fan, you're like, oh, look at that. That's cool. There's a little fireman guy.
Right. I never found it endearing. And there are people like that. There used to be more within the Florida State fan base. It exists in every single fan base. Somebody who fancies themselves part of the entertainment for the day when you purchase your ticket. No, sir. No, we don't need all this. Sit your ass.
Yeah, Tampa, the Bucks, big nasty.
Yeah.
That guy.
Well, it's usually just some big dude. Now, Fireman Ed's not big, but I mean, not big in that way.
No.
But a
lot of Rockaway energy in Fireman Ed.
Well, the problem is it's always the imploring of others around you to do what they want you to do. That is what is infuriating. I'm not one of the cantankerous ones in the stands to ever say sit down or anything. It's an event. It's a big sporting event. It's lots of time people are going to be standing. It'd be like going to a concert and constantly telling somebody they had to sit down. Like if you're at a rock show, like a big rock,
nope.
you can't do it. You can't do that. They're there. The energy is such that they want. Yeah. I don't
the only thing you do is you check over your shoulder if they're dancing in front of you or they're standing in front of you. You make eye contact with the people sitting behind you.
What do you want me to do?
My hands are tied. My hands are
yeah,
tied. I'm not watching the event.
I would have been sitting down too, but now I can't sit down. Look at these people. They're all dancing in front of me. I got to stand because I want to see. Nathaniel Rateliff is singing. I'm going to watch it. Anyhow, this is the deal.
And as long as they don't have a cane, because then if they have a cane, you're like, I don't know what to do here. I'm kind of caught in between.
Oh, well, you're really stuck if you're ever in the section that is the section in front of those that are handicapped.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen before in St. Augustine at that amphitheater where I'm sitting down in the bubble and where it's perfect, but right behind me is the set of wheelchairs.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? I got a group in front of me standing straight up. I'm not able to see.
You dropped $175 a ticket.
I'm like, you're in a wheelchair and I understand that.
You got to talk to the people in front of you. Be like, hey, man, if you stand, I can't stand. All right? Like, what are we doing here? That's what you got to talk to the people in front of you.
Toughie. You're like, listen.
I'm sorry that you're in the penultimate row and you're screwing me, but we all know how expensive these tickets were.
And, sir, look, I'm not trying to
Folks, this is REO Speedwagon.
But also look behind me. And first of all, I wouldn't be at REO Speedwagon. You know better than that. But, sir, look behind me. What am I supposed to do? Really, what am I supposed to do here? But at a football game, you get guys like, get up, everybody, get up.
It's part of the culture in Queens.
Come on, man.
Unfortunately, because a lot of Mets fans were caught on camera doing that on MLB on Fox for years. 2 strikes, the camera's always paying to the crowd for 2 strikes. And the people do this. And now every time you go to a Met game, if there's 2 strikes in the late inning, it's like everybody does it. It's almost like Angels in the outfield. You might as well just be doing this, like Angels in the outfield, because everybody tells each other to stand up.
Well, and it's frustrating. I get mad because I want to say to the other person, look, you do what you want to do. I'm not telling you to sit. You go ahead and get all crazy. It's third down in a 3-3 game in the first quarter, and I know you think it's a big moment, so go ahead, buddy. But if I don't want to, I'm not doing it. I'm not telling you not to do it,
Right.
but you don't need to turn and implore that I do it.
I'm just going to do a little lean forward here. I get the moment, and the moment is causing a gravitational pull, but I'm going to lean forward in the seat. I'm going to be like an umpire right over the shoulder of the guy in front of me. And here we go. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
By the way, so Dustin brings up, and he says, just kidding, but he's talking about the animals of Section B. You know why that works? You know why the animals of Section B, why it works? They're all in one section, and they're all in unison. They all abide by the same rule.
It's like a band.
So you're not having to worry. There's not like a person that's in the middle of that section that, unbeknownst to them, is, dealing with a circus. Like those tickets are all
somebody.
Imagine what is
80,
this? What is going on here? Yeah,
82 years old, can't stand. Like, what am I? Am I just going to be watching this guy's back sweat the whole game?
What is happening?
This is not right.
Yeah, and a song, another song. It's the second inning. What? No, that's different. That's all kind of almost roped off. Like a VIP section.
Well, yeah. I mean, you heard how loud the 7-line Army was in Pittsburgh for an inning.
They did a great job.
Oh, they're awesome. Yeah.
That is a really cool tradition. The fact that exists. Do they go to the West Coast?
They do. Yeah, they were at the Bartolo Colon home run game. They were there.
Oh my God.
They lucked the hell out in that setting in San Diego.
For those that don't know, the Mets have a section, the 7 line. You take the 7 train. The 7 line is a group that gets together and they'll pick an away game. Is it every away game?
No, they'll do probably 5 or 6 trips a year.
Yeah, and last time they chose to come to Pittsburgh because PNC's beautiful, and that's what you do. And they filled the right field bleacher all the way down to the right side, and it was something. It was impressive. It was all blue, and they were very excited early on. And
then there was the rain delay,
and then things happened.
Actually, the best part of that game was, and you know this, it was after the rain delay. They were playing Cotton Eye Joe or some such song. And they just cut around the stadium. Everybody was loose because it was about an hour, 45-minute rain delay.
So that rain delay caused, and Tom and I did something that if you're a smart baseball fan, you'll appreciate.
The best move I made on the trip. I'm taking credit for that one.
So we're sitting, Tom and I are behind home plate, second deck up. We're sitting there looking, and the clouds are ominous behind us. They're turning black. It's not looking good. It's cooling things off, which is nice, but nobody in the stadium is turning around to see these clouds headed our direction. At one point, Tom turns to me and goes, "Hey, man, we're about to get brutalized. Let's get a seat at the bar. Let's go inside quick and get a seat at the bar because it's going to fill up." And I looked back and I thought, he's on it. He's on it.
Well, that's from living in Florida with pop-up storms on the golf course. Your senses are attuned. Pittsburgh stands no chance with that.
You and I jumped up, found our way to the bar, got the best bartender in Pittsburgh.
Oh, she was great.
She was fantastic. And then no sooner had we sat down to order a drink when deluge, it was, you couldn't see an inch in front of your face. It was raining so hard. Also, the people, they're all running in. What the hell? And you're like, "I'll have a second, please."
Yeah.
We
Chaos
were
for them, and we had
the TV so we could see when it was going to start back up. We had the other game on. We're placing bets.
Yeah, live wagers on the Cincinnati game. That was great. And then the big cannonball drink. We decided to get the fishbowl cannonball pirate contained drink. Did you bring those home?
Oh, yeah. I got both of them.
Nice.
Christy was like, "I take it you brought these home to." I said, "Mixed drinks?" "Yes, I did. They're going to go right here in our mixed drink glasses area." Yeah, it was really nice. They didn't get ruined in the suitcase or anything. Beautiful. I also got the pint glass. Well, that we were allowed to have.
Yeah, that was plastic.
It wasn't glass. It was. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul.
I saw where Brian Kelly talked about the fact that they have a singular focus, obviously speaking at the SEC kickoff, that they have a singular focus for this upcoming season, and it actually starts with the Clemson game. And he said that he doesn't typically do that. He doesn't typically decide to hyper-focus on any one game. So if you go back and think about when Florida State and LSU played, he acknowledged that it was a big game and it was a traditional game. It was all of those things. But that it was just one game. And while he thought it was really cool for the fans, he also realized that, hey, we've got a big season ahead. And I think if you're a coach of an SEC team, honestly, let's just face it, that you know that you're going to have several big games, high-profile games on television, games in prime time, games against ranked opponents. And most teams in the SEC and most fans of SEC teams tend to focus on, listen, we want to win the SEC. We want to win our conference. If we take care of that, you got a chance to make the playoffs, etc. A lot of coaches don't like to focus on a singular game because what happens if you lose it? Ahead of a season in which some would describe him as possibly being on the hot seat, I find it fascinating that he would choose that game would be of the utmost importance, that game as a program and as a team, he says, is all we're focused on right now. That is we need it. We need to start that way. We need to absolutely get this done. That is a dangerous proposition. You're facing a Clemson team with a veteran quarterback. That is a Clemson team that most think are going to make the playoffs. To singularly focus on this game, in my mind, would be a mistake. But here's why I bring it up. It has little to do with my concern about Brian Kelly and LSU or even Clemson for that matter, although admittedly as college football fans, we're excited about having that game. I wouldn't want Mike Norvell at the ACC kickoff next week, when we're up there, to just put a premium on the Alabama game. I wouldn't want Mike to kind of sit down to do our interview and the rest of the interviews that he's going to be doing at Radio Row and talk at length about how important the Alabama game is. I get it. Different set of circumstances. Nussmeier's the quarterback at LSU. He's a Heisman candidate in his own right to go along with Klubnik. They're both second fiddle to Arch Manning, one would think. But those are your three big-name quarterbacks in the running for the Heisman, or at least three of the big-name quarterbacks that are in the running for the Heisman. And so you're maybe better equipped in your mind to go mano-a-mano with a talent like that and a expectation like that than Florida State is, say, as a 12.5-point underdog to Alabama. But, man, it would be a huge mistake for Mike to single out the Alabama game. It's an important game. But, I started thinking about it. He's going to get asked that question. He's going to get asked the question about whether or not, the Alabama game, what does it mean? How much does it mean? How are you preparing for that game? As opposed to, a conversation about preparing for the season and the changes on offense and the changes to your coaching staff and the changes on defense. And I'm wondering how he's going to answer it. Because it is kind of it's a fine line. You got to acknowledge it's Alabama. You got to acknowledge it's a big game. You got to acknowledge how big of a home opener it is to unveil the renovations at Doak Campbell, Bobby Bowden Field, with a program like Bama coming in. The ACC kickoff, which I will confess, a lot of times, guys, is not all that interesting. It can be sort of a slog because there aren't that many interesting teams in the league, although that has changed. Obviously, we're always going to be fascinated by whatever it is Florida State's going to do. But you have Clemson, you have Miami. Some years there's another team within that grouping that you would say are nationally ranked and interesting and perhaps playoff bound. SMU last year being one of those teams, first year in the league. We all kind of took interest in Rhett Lashley's group. But I wonder how he's going to handle it this year and the conversations. Because the other question that Kelly got is another question that Mike Norvell is going to get. The question that Kelly got was, does he hear the conversation about his job status, about the frustrations in the fan base. Now imagine you're him, you're hearing that, as I said, 2 10-win seasons and a 9-win season, and that's what you're hearing. Well, I can only imagine the line of questioning that Mike Norvell is going to get next week coming off of 2. It gets real next week is my point. It gets ratcheted back up next week. A lot of this was conjecture and speculation and kind of thought exercises. All of us have had to do it, whether it be on this show or in your living rooms or at the bar, amongst your friends at work. Like, how does he handle the conversation around 2 and 10? How does he handle the conversation around the extreme disappointment that this fan base feels and having been a laughingstock last year? And I don't say that with some sort of, manipulation in mind or frustration that I have or my part or any of that. That's the reality. He's going to get asked those questions repeatedly. And there's a fine line as to how to answer those. And they mirror that of what's being asked of Brian Kelly at LSU. Most coaches won't do what Kelly did, which is to say, yeah, I agree. It's a big game. Yeah, I agree. This is a huge game. I'm applying a lot of energy to how we play in this game against Clemson, and how we play, how we open the season might dictate where this program is going to go and how important it is for us. Whereas most coaches wouldn't do that, because they understand the downside is if you lose that game, what does your team do? Mike will most assuredly not do that. Mike will talk about the focus being back on us. Mike will talk about the opportunity at hand. Mike will talk about how it's important that they execute, that they get off to a good start. He'll talk a lot, maybe vaguely, about staying together, playing hard-nosed. And I think he's right. I think he's right to do that. I also think the constant conversation about being physical, about laying it on the line, about sacrifice for one another, about playing hard and playing fast might rub you and me and every other college football fan or football fan of any kind the wrong way, because you would think that that's a given. It should always be in place. It should never be a case where you have to implore people to play hard, to play fast, to play for one another, to sacrifice. That should never be something that you have to worry about with a big-time college football team. And yet we saw it last year. They had to worry about it, and it can't ever happen again, because that will guarantee you, no matter what happens in that football game against Alabama, that will guarantee you you've lost your job. If they're not playing hard and they're not sacrificing and they're not willing to go the extra mile for their teammates, then you'll lose your job. It's as simple as that. And I would center my conversations not about the result of the Alabama game, but about how hard they're going to play and how intense and physical they're going to be, because your defensive coordinator has said as much repeatedly when asked about the difference of what he'll bring to the table and what he teaches. That is something that has come up time and again. And if the basis for your offense is running the football, by definition, you're going to have to be physical. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good. Get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right. Get a new roof, get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. It's MillerSeptic.com.
Some men follow the crowd. Others take the long way, the wayward way. At thewaywardgent.com, we've curated the gear, gadgets, and grit every respectable man needs, from the fairway to the fire pit. We've identified the top-rated Amazon finds, so you don't have to. No fluff, just the good stuff. Visit thewaywardgent.com for the man who's not afraid to live a little off course. Thewaywardgent.com.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke, it's Matt and Brett Oster with America in View.
Matt, Florida has become the world leader for freedom, and I love being in the studio with you every week where we are reinforcing the conservative movement with truth, the Constitution, and a little redneck common sense. We're waking the woke.
That's right, Brett. We enjoy talking politics and what's going on in the world. We're bringing our take on the issues, doing our best to fight for freedom.
So tune in every Friday at 4 p.m. on Real Talk 93.3.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
A date and a place set for Florida and Miami men's basketball to match up against each other this upcoming season. It is going to take place on November 16th. And it's going to be the Jacksonville Hoop Showdown presented by the Jacksonville Sports Foundation. Major League Baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays, they have certainly been struggling lately. They've lost 4 in a row, 6 of 7, 8 of 10, and 11 of 14. They get swept by the Red Sox, losing yesterday by a 4-1 score. They are back at it when they match up against Baltimore coming up on Friday. The Marlins get a win against the Orioles yesterday, 11-1. They will host Kansas. Progressive, bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance, and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, tools, home essentials, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through July 18th. Not a rewards member? Join for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Give me those sauces, grab the chicken strips, let's dunk them in there. There's nothing like it. Hey, I'm Joey. And I'm Josh. And we're team members at our local Chick-fil-A. And a little thing you'll love about the Chick-fil-A chicken strips is dipping them in our sauces. My sauce is the barbecue sauce. If you wanted to add sweet, tangy flavors, there's nothing like it. I love the garden herb ranch sauce, but if you want a little bit more kick in the spicy side, you can mix it with buffalo sauce. Dipping them in our sauces, it is perfection.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now on the Chick-fil-A app. Team members paid for their testimonials.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Go
custom with your window coverings with help from Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Budget Blinds brings their showroom to your home with dozens of color and pattern choices. Just tell them what you love and they'll make it happen. From designing custom draperies and Roman shades to color matching your blinds and shutters.
I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds Tallahassee, where you get beautiful style and expert service for any budget. Call 668-4835 for a free consultation online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
Science-backed technology tracked and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard. Buttons randomly and screw up the top of the hour. Good times. Hey, we'll make it happen. It's all right. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. Tom, are you there? Do I have you locked in?
You do. I am here. Can you hear me all right?
I can. I don't know if we can be on display. This is going to be audio only right now because of a frozen screen. But we are making things work.
Yeah, I think it might be audio only. I suppose I could put a blank screen up for you. And then for me, I just sit here, as you can see in the bottom right of the screen, so you can at least see what I'm doing. But
let everybody gaze upon the above and beyond vacation rental sign, by the way. That's nothing wrong with that. No middleman, no Airbnb, BRBO fees. Booking available now for the remainder of, I think about what's left of summer. Not much. Not much. Maybe now you would do it. Hey, during the break. So I talked about expectations and what coaches do in the offseason when they get asked, like Brian Kelly did in the SEC meetings today, about singular games, especially if they play big games. Most of the time they deflect from that. Most of the time they'll say things like, oh, it's a big game. It's great for college football. I respect the program. We're really excited to be facing so-and-so. But it's one of 12 that we're playing, and we've got lofty goals, etc. But Kelly didn't do that today. He said that it was a big deal for their program, an important game that they have spent the offseason thinking about and preparing for that football game against Clemson. And I think it's a risky proposition when a coach does that. And I dare say that next week, when we go to the ACC kickoff, Mike Norvell will not do the same for Alabama. He will not have the conversation pointing Alabama out as a more meaningful or important result or game as any other. Is it a bigger game than many others on the schedule? Sure. I mean, by definition, you're talking about a program that is the stature of Alabama. And the fact that you're an underdog at home and it's your home opener and it's after the renovations and they're ranked and all that stuff. Yeah, that we know what it is. But I don't think he'll put any sort of added weight to that game any more so than he would say the game against Virginia or the game against Pitt. He has done a good job in years past of understanding how important rivalry games are. Mike has said that the Miami game is a bigger game than many of our other ACC games, almost all of our other ACC games, in fact. And he has understood and said as much about the Florida game being a big deal because it's a rivalry game. I like that he's done that with our two rivals because to deny that is foolish. Everybody knows the game that Florida State plays between us and Miami is a big deal. Everybody knows the game that you play against Florida is a big deal, more so than any other game on your schedule that includes Alabama this year. But it is interesting because he's going to get asked the question. He's going to get asked the question repeatedly about the importance of that game, the importance of bouncing back and showing that the team has moved on from 2-10 and this is a whole new year. And, I wonder how he weighs talking about that game and what it means and what it represents, because that's one of the first things he's going to get asked about when we're there next week.
Yeah, it will be. And look, Brian Kelly, made this mistake when we played LSU the year in Orlando. Remember, he was caught during his coach's show saying, "We're going to beat the heck out of Florida State," which, again, the accent, Brian, what the hell's wrong with you? So this is not the first time that he's put a game on the pedestal. And remember, in the post-game press conference, he denied that he ever said it. So he's very strange in these circumstances. For Mike, like you said, I agree that I like when he puts in Monday press conferences or weekly press conferences an emphasis on a rivalry week. From what I'm told from people that worked over there at the coaches' offices over the years, he does turn into a bit of a different guy on, starting Sunday of rivalry week, the day after that you're done flushing and grading the film from the previous game. I will be interested to hear what the answers are in this circumstance. You can't run from it. I'm not saying that you need to egregiously double down. I know that we're kind of touching into PR territory here. You don't have to double down and go crazy here and put the game on a pedestal, but I mean, this is a massively important game, and I wonder which way he'll go about it, because sometimes when we expect him to zig, he'll go zag.
I think he would acknowledge that in terms of the pageantry around this game, there'll be more of it than the following week's game. There'll be more of it than the week after that's game. Probably more of it than the vast majority of games that you play. Of course, that's true. That's the way it's viewed from outside the program. That's the way it's viewed by the national media. That's the way it's viewed by college football fans that aren't here on a daily basis. That's not the way necessarily he would sell it to his players and his coaches. And you're not going to have to talk to them about focus for this game. You're not going to have to talk to them about gearing up and ratcheting up emotion and intensity for this game. Players can look at tape. And I always talk about how when a player looks at a tape, they are immediately struck by what they see. For some teams, they see a team that doesn't really look like they can compete, or that physically aren't going to be a team that, is much to worry about. Others, they get their attention right away. The bigger, stronger, faster part of it grabs them, and they understand that's what this will be. It's not as if the players won't look at what Alabama is, and they have enough returning players to get your attention, enough projected NFL players to get your attention. So they're going to get that, and they're not going to need Mike to put that game up on a pedestal or anything like that. I just am curious to see how he talks about it. I think it's a weird thread to kind of to try to pull there, because you got to talk about it and understand that people are excited about it, and also try not to poo-poo it and act like it's not a big deal while not making too much of a big deal. It's weird. It's a weird balance.
Yeah, well, and look, during the spring booster tour, he was asked a lot of questions over and over again by different markets, because when he hits those different places in Orlando and Jacksonville and Tampa, you're going to get the same old. And he was starting to get tired of the questions he was being asked. He was starting to get tired of, you could see there was fatigue about, I don't want to hear about last year anymore. Now that's your problem, buddy, because this is, you reap what you sow, and last year is your fault, and you're going to hear about it. Well, he's going to hear about it one more time. This is it, though. He can pivot after a couple of questions, but this is the last time, as you said, to close out the last hour, you're going to get some uncomfortable questions. It's going to get real. We'll see how he handles all of it. I know that he'll have something concocted. Every coach does. This is not just a Mike Norvell thing. Every coach has a motto or a redirect or rhetorically something ready to go when they get those questions. But I'm interested to see his body language, because, he was over it. He was certainly over it on the spring booster tour. By the time he got to some of the places in Central Florida, and he was being asked the same thing over and over again. We'll see how he deals with it one final time, and how he can redirect the conversation moving forward.
Yeah, you talk about every coach has a redirect or some theme or something that they, as you said, concoct. I remember Jimbo having to try to manifest some sort of like motivator on the heels of success, and the kinds of things you look to when you're sustaining that success and not wanting to be knocked off from atop the mountain. And he talked a lot about books that he read from coaches that had prolonged success, multiple championships, and so forth. Certainly this could be viewed as the opposite of that. And you would be researching how best to bounce back as an organization, as an individual in charge of an organization, from extreme disappointment, from extreme frustration and anger and confusion. And because he talked about evaluating every level of the operation, every contingent, everything that when involved in that is involved in running an organization like this. I am interested to hear those answers. That hasn't been really spoken all that. There were actions taken that let you know where his head was at. I mean, when you fire your offensive coordinator, when you fire your defensive coordinator, when you change coaches on your staff, in many ways, you're letting it be known where you think the problems lie and or where changes need to be made at the very least. But I am kind of curious to see. He's had even more time. He's had a spring. Now he's had, that bit of information. Those are data points. Those are more things that you can take and learn from and apply to whatever it is that's going to be the theme for the ACC kickoff, whatever that's going to be. And his answers will tell you something about where they're at, how close he thinks they are, how far away he thinks they are, areas that he's excited about, and areas where they're going to have to show and prove.
And you'll know what his talking points are because you'll hear it from the four players. Like, it's not the greatest example in Florida State history, but they did win a bunch of games that year. Remember, attitude of domination after they won the 2013 national championship and the preseason of 2014. The players used that phrase just like Jimbo did when Jimbo did the ESPN car wash, when Jimbo was at ACC kickoff, when Jimbo was doing local media availabilities with us as practice was starting. That was his catchphrase. But the players used it as well when they visited Charlotte or Durham or Pinehurst or wherever the hell we went. That particular year, I'm sure it was in the state of North Carolina. Yes. You will know what Mike Norvell's catchphrase or what the company line is, so to speak, when you hear those four players, speak to all different types of media next week. Where Mike breaks from that will be interesting to me, because sometimes in like that 30-minute or 45-minute breakout session, there's like a real moment or two in exchange because there's fatigue from having to answer questions at the podium, having to answer questions of Radio Row, tough, hard-hitting questions from the Jeff Cameron Show in Tallahassee, and then having to go talk to TV and then get into that 45-minute setting. I'll be interested to see how Mike Norvell handles that. But there's going to be something that Daryl Jackson that says, that Tommy Castellano says, that Richie does, and Earl Little does as well. I'm wondering what that catchphrase will be. And did you see that there's going to be some noise that Kalen DeBoer has to deal with at SEC Media Days because of the McElroy thing?
I did not. No, I have been in here ever since I caught a glimpse of what was going on with Brian Kelly and what his expectations were. I did not see the other part of the scuttlebutt out of the SEC.
So Greg McElroy said he heard it from a high-up source connected to Nick Saban, and he wouldn't bring it to the table if it wasn't somebody legitimate. You can find this on On3, that Nick Saban's not done coaching. Oh, good Lord. That's the worst news that Kalen DeBoer could ever get right now. The seat's not hot, but it ain't cold and cool and comfy either. To hear that Nick Saban wants to potentially get back into coaching, whether that is rampant, irresponsible speculation on Greg McElroy's part or not, I doubt it. I doubt it is. He's pretty good about these things, especially he knows the market that he's working in. DeBoer's going to have to deal with that question this week in the preseason as well. Pressure from Nick Saban, because Alabama fans are going to want him back yesterday.
I'm curious if it's true that would he come back to coach Alabama? DeBoer signed to a pretty weighty contract. I understand that within the realm of Alabama fandom, last year was a bitter disappointment. It wasn't an abject failure, but it was a disappointment. But he is, I think, primed to have a very good season. I think he's probably got a better passer at quarterback, I'll tell you that. He's got a lot of talent up front on that offensive line, and they're supposed to have one of the better teams in the SEC. That's interesting. All of college football has been put on notice with that announcement, because don't think for a second that every program in America and every fan of said program in America isn't thinking, would he coach here? Would he come here? It's the first. You can, at first it might be, oh, he's too old, or he's not this, or he's not that. let a whisper get out there that he's been interested from afar, always has been, in Florida State University, and see how quickly that eats up the boards, buddy.
Oh, man. Hey, man, this fan base tore itself in shreds for Bob Stoops, and Bob was there. I saw him. With my own eyes. He walked into the Moore Center. I swear to God, he was here, and the plane took him from here to there and everywhere, but they wanted to keep it quiet. It's still Bob, yada, yada. It's going to be that way for some markets for Saban. And if this thing careened into the side of the mountain, you don't think that would be every phone call, every email that Michael Alford would have to sift through? Be like, Saban, ? Saban? Big eyes?
Yeah, the problem Alford has is that he wouldn't entertain it because Saban would want to be the AD as well. He would take his job and be the head coach.
Well, there's something, he could not want to entertain that all he wants. That's fine. If it ever came to that, which hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we have a successful season and everybody's A-okay and the Saban mania is somebody else's problem somewhere else in the country. But if it goes sideways here, he can love that all he wants. McCullough would make the call. Somebody would make the call and say, Nick, what do you think? Tallahassee, still in the South. What do we say, baby?
What a ridiculous thing now if you're DeBoer and you're like, oh, really? Okay. I mean, come on, man. I don't know what's real and what's not real about that. I will say something you hit on there is absolutely factual. McElroy does know that market and understands Alabama through and through. So I don't think he would have just said it to say it. There'd be no reason to do it. I would think, however, that somebody that would be bothered by that wouldn't just be Kalen DeBoer, but rather Nick Saban. I doubt he wants to have to answer that every second of every day. And, oh, by the way, it's a little late in the game, so it won't be this year. So if he's on the desk of College Game Day this year, it's going to come up every week.
Look, I don't know how they have it staffed for SEC Media Days. I'm not going to watch that rubbish. But he could very well be on the desk there in Birmingham right now. Wouldn't that be terribly inconvenient timing? And Greg works for ESPN. So, yeah, I would think that there are some conference calls that are being executed this week because the one thing I would say, while Greg, I agree with you, he says, it's a very much in the know source. He wouldn't bring it to the table if it was nothing. Man, you also know what you're inviting to drop that nugget on Monday of SEC Media Week. Like, that's... Buddy, you couldn't have done that 3 weeks ago. You couldn't do that 3 weeks from now. You have to do that when everybody is assembled and those super fans are standing outside of the convention center in Birmingham. Oh, good Lord.
I want to circle back to something in a second. We're talking about how Mike is going to be asked a lot of uncomfortable questions. We're talking about things that he needs to do, things that he won't like to do, but has to accept they're going to be part of the process next week. He's going to be asked a lot about 2 and 10 and what he's learned. And whenever you're talking about dealing with extreme disappointment and frustration, most of the time there are all kinds of steps, almost like the stages of grieving. There are steps that you have to take to compartmentalize those things and acknowledge those things and reframe your perspective about what those things are and what they could mean and how you can find them useful. I'll talk more about that here in a second. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby!
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
Feeling sluggish? Wake up your body the right way with Vigor. The all-new Vigor Cold Plunge Tub from Hot Spring Spas is now available exclusively at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Boost circulation, reduce inflammation, sharpen your focus, and more. Elite athletes do it daily, and now you can too. Experience
Honey, what are these mushrooms in our yard? Portobello?
Huh. Let me take a look. Oh,
Shiitake.
I don't know, but our septic system is failing, and our whole yard smells like.
Should we try to cook these up and eat them tonight?
This is bad, Sheila.
Well, we better fix it soon, or we're going to be in deep.
Sheila, look. It's Crud Septic. Our prayers are answered.
Call Crud Septic Service today. Pump outs, installs, repairs. CrudSeptic.com. That's CrudSeptic.com.
Every life tells a story. At Cornerstone Memorials, we help you preserve that story with care, compassion, and craftsmanship. Whether it's a custom headstone, a beautiful monument, or a heartfelt inscription, our family is here to serve yours. Visit cornerstonememorials.org and discover how we've helped Tallahassee families honor their loved ones for over 50 years. Choose Cornerstone Memorials because the memories of the ones we love deserve to last forever.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. I think we got to work it again. Hello, everybody. I'm in a different place. Tom's in a different place, but we're back with you in video as well as radio. And thank you for listening and watching a discombobulated Jeff Cameron Show today on 93.3.
I promise I went the speed limit on the way home. 100%.
It's impressive that you got there in the amount of time that you did.
Yeah. There's a couple of. I know all of the permutations of Monroe and the lights and the way they work. It was a favorable. Was it the most favorable outcome? No, but it was like a 9-3. It was a 9-3 season of an outcomes. Pretty good.
What we wouldn't give to go 9-3 this football season. I think everybody would be over the moon for 9-3 if it were to happen. I talked before the break about the things that you got to do and the questions that are going to be asked, the whole different, the whole kit and caboodle, the gaining perspective, the learning from the experience, the way to reframe all of it, acknowledge and process your emotions, all the advice that you get when you're going through tough times. I would love, and we'll never know this, or at least not for many, many years, I would love to know, because I think there has to be somebody, no doubt. Who do you confide in? You always have to have somebody to confide, somebody you can trust, somebody you could meet somewhere and say, hey, look, let's spend the weekend with our families at the beach. I got some things I want to talk to you about. And I trust you and I need you. You're a colleague. I gotta have some advice on this one. Because to me, I know that, listen, we have said you want Alabama game one if you have to play Alabama. So if you have to play them, you're probably better off playing them in week one, where maybe the element of surprise, maybe the sloppiness of a week one game, could play in your favor. You're at home, quarterback on the road that hasn't started a road game. You get a few bounces, some momentum. Next thing you know, you're on the cusp of pulling off an upset as a 12.5-point underdog to a Bama team that, frankly, has better personnel than you do at most positions, if not all positions. And so it is a bit of a Herculean task. I'm not saying they can't be beat. I'm not saying Alabama is a juggernaut that nobody can knock off. Lord knows we saw just a year ago that they can be beaten. They can be beaten 4 times. But I do think it's a tough task for Florida State to get this done in week one. And I wonder if, when you talk about the first week and a new perspective and a new way of doing things, and having learned from the mistakes of a year ago and the devastating results, whether or not he feels like this will be a great representation of it, coaches will and fans will do the same. You'll lie to yourself in many ways, but I wonder if deep down he wishes they were playing in East Texas first instead of playing out, because there is a distinct possibility, and we'll know pretty early on. There's a distinct possibility that the manner in which Florida State's going to play this year and the level of competence and excellence and whatever else is mixed in there of their football program doesn't necessarily get revealed, good or bad, in week one. Probably there's an outside chance that you just get overwhelmed here, Tom. Maybe not an outside chance. You just get overwhelmed here, and there's no way to know how many more improvements have been made and how much better the program and the team's going to be, because if bigger, stronger, faster rules the day, then it's hard to know what you are when you lose out on that battle at every spot.
Yeah, I mean, you could have it down, the new scheme and the new asks, at 97, 98%, and because of the speed that Alabama brings to the table or the toughness, there's just a moment of hesitation, 1 out of every 10 plays, but that could be an explosive on 3rd and 10, and it's something that you would have completely rote knowledge of in October, but you just don't in game one. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Jimbo had it right. This is one of the things he certainly had right, was the ramp up. And I think the Duquesne game, was it Duquesne that we played before LSU in New Orleans? Yeah. That week 0 opportunity was huge. That to me was an unheralded secondary assist, to use a hockey term, for the win in New Orleans, was to have that game the week before. That was huge to me. And so if you could work that into the next few years, I mean, the Alabama game next year is going to be week 3, I think. So it's not the same animal as the one that you're, trying to take on this year. You're at home for this game, which is good. But next year we take them on sometime in the teens in September. So hopefully there's a bit of a ramp up next year. But yeah, I would prefer it if they had one, run up to the Alabama game. But what it does do, since you don't have that opportunity, is it makes this 60 minutes for the first week. It's noisy for the data, to your point about takeaways. It's going to be noisy, but it also makes it that much more fascinating. I mean, it's a brand new it's a brand new offense top to bottom, and almost a brand new defense top to bottom. It's going to be crazy.
I think the vast majority of our fan base is not considering it. They think that I'm being overly pessimistic when I say that there's a possibility Florida State gets overwhelmed and isn't competitive in the game against Alabama. I've allowed for the possibility that Florida State is hanging in there to the end and with a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. I have. I admit that that's also part of the equation. Obviously, Vegas is on the side of they don't think it's going to be that close. They feel pretty good about what Bama's going to do rolling in here to Tallahassee. The game's not played or not decided because Vegas thinks something. But I'm just pointing out that it is fairly evident that Alabama is an extreme favorite for a reason. I can't think of too many times in my lifetime that Florida State would ever be more than a double-digit dog at home in an opener. It just wouldn't happen. So this is significant in and of itself. Now, some of it's a byproduct of, again, a historically poor season that preceded this game. No doubt it has a big influence on the season to come, even though you'd be right to say, well, they're basically going to be 11 new starters on offense and basically going to be, 8 to 9 new starters on defense, depending? I mean, potentially. So how can you say, well, you know what many of these guys were at their previous stops. You know who they were. You know what caliber of player they were. You know what they did or did not do at their previous stops. And that's been looked at. That's been assessed and analyzed probably a million times over in coming up with the spread for this game. Vegas is telling you they think Alabama's basically going to blow Florida State out.
They are. Now you're just hoping that Alabama's the dud this year, that their program, that we're changing the way that we're going to talk about Alabama football forever. Now that Saban is gone and they're starting to head down into a valley, because we were at 10.5. We'd opened at 13.5, but I think at kickoff, it was 10.5 point favorite in Dublin last year. And that was a stunning result. I get that Alabama leading into this game that we're playing against them has recruited better than we did in those circumstances. But the talent we had did not line up with the performance we put out there on the football field. And it was crazy. The amount of output you got out of the players that we had on that roster last year. I'm not saying they should have gone to the playoff or won 10 games. What I'm saying is they were a hell of a lot better than what they showed at any point last season. And somebody's going to lay an egg early on. And Alabama at least has a couple of signs that maybe they're a program that is, going to be a little bit sloppy. And you just hope that, the setting and the unknowns help exacerbate that process for Florida State. Hey, maybe the Heat too, if you wear the all-white uniforms.
It's not like it's not really hot in Alabama, buddy. It is blazingly hot in Alabama. It's absurdly hot in Alabama. They're practicing in it just like we are every day. When it all comes down, it won't make any difference. It'll be just like they're playing in their backyard. The difference will be, obviously, atmosphere. And as we get closer, I think about that a lot. I am excited to hear Doak light up again. It was completely dormant. It was what an ass experience last year was. Just cheeks. Everything about what took place a year ago made you, kind of swallow your pride and also understand and be incredibly patient with the game day experience. You were going to be inconvenienced, to say the least, when you were going to a game at Doak Campbell Stadium last year. That can't be avoided when renovations are happening. I understand that. But when you marry it with an all-time poor season, you're asking an awful lot of your fan base who fly in or drive up or over to come to a game. This will be the first non-one of those games in what feels like an awfully long time, probably made to feel doubly long given what you did see when you went to games a year ago, given what did play out when you went to games a year ago. If this plays out seamlessly, and that is the plan, right? That's why they've got a run-up, why they have events planned before this game is to be played, so that the game day experience will be a great one. Well, if that's so, if there's an ease of parking and a to and fro and a way to get in and out of the stadium without it being overly complicated and bottlenecked across the parking lots of Doak Campbell, if that happens, I am ready to hear the full-throated war chant. I am ready to hear the enthusiasm and the return to excitement at Doak Campbell Stadium for the first time in well over a year. It was a tough pill to swallow last year. I am eager for that, no matter what I think of the matchup, because when you see Alabama run out of that tunnel, and there'll be plenty of Alabama fans here, and you see Florida State run out of that tunnel, that'll be fun because it'll be a return to what we remember to be the norm here when we were good, at least for a day. At least for a day, it will be that again. It'll be the way that you felt when you watched Florida State 2 seasons ago run out of that tunnel, and there happened to be a big-name opponent across from us. That energy is a very real thing. It's tangible.
It is, and I see, Spartan will put a question in the chat. How many Bama fans do you think will make the trip 5,000 to 7,000? I'd say at least. I think a lot of those jokers will just sit in their trailers or in the tailgate lot and watch the game, even if they don't have tickets. And this might be a closer location for some of them. I see Ryan in the chat. He's talking about Mobile and Pensacola. Yeah, you've got opportunities in the Panhandle if you're a Bama fan to roll on over to Tallahassee. They might not all make it into the game, but there will be a lot of them, and that's what can ratchet things up to the next level. Look, we haven't had any special relationship with Notre Dame since the 90s for a brief couple-year window. I always thought Notre Dame was a larger rival for Florida State because when I was a kid first learning about Florida State football, and I was 6 through 10 years old, we played Notre Dame a couple of times, including the game of the century. So, that was, to me, a one thing. But then, outside of a couple of games with Ty Willingham and a blowout that we laid up in the dump of a town, they come back here in 2014. You remember that game? It was an 8:00 kick. Chris Fowler was talking about the defiance in the crowd. We were doing a pregame show in College Town, and there was a big fight outside of one of the bars, and the people were arrested and put in zip ties. Like, that was an incredible atmosphere that night because the opponent can help uplift the home crowd. We're already going to be jazzed as Florida State fans for this game, but Alabama's going to help us and help the town get all the rowdier and all the louder, and I do look forward to that.
The fight. I forgot about it till you just, yeah, that's right. Fights and folks in zip ties.
That's not what you do.
That is not what you do, guys.
Our ass is in the jackpot now.
Yeah, you can't. That is not what you do. I hope we find a way to get through this. I mean, this is not a rivalry. It is not a rivalry. We don't often play Alabama. It's not a rivalry. It ought not feature a bunch of fights before the game. I don't think it will. But I do think there'll be a lot of Alabama folk here because if you think about it, reverse it. How many of us are going next year to Alabama? I would think a ton of folks in the Garnet and Gold are making their way up to Birmingham.
I think Panhandle.
I always do that. Tuscaloosa, sorry.
Yeah, I think Panhandle Tide fans will definitely make it here, and probably
there are a ton of them.
Exactly, and probably a ton of or a small amount of folks from actually Tuscaloosa, Birmingham proper, that area, because remember they do have a trip and a date with Wisconsin a couple of weeks later, and I know that Alabama is the home team for that game. But I think if you're thinking about a marquee matchup, maybe some split attention if you don't have season tickets or you're not like a super fan. But I do think that you're going to get a lot of those kind of like non-Miami grad fans showing up.
Well, that's all of them.
Yeah, right. I think you're going to get non-Bama graduates, and you're going to get those like, Panama City and Pensacola and Orange Beach and all that kind of group are going to be making their way over.
I just think anytime we play – now, again, they did the right thing in this matchup. They did the thing where you're going to their campus, they're coming to our campus. This is what it ought to be. And anytime this exists, I celebrate the pageantry of college football, like the better parts of college football. When we went to Oklahoma, that was a fun game to go to. I was bitterly disappointed that they played the LSU games in quote-unquote pseudo-neutral site places like New Orleans and Orlando. And I mean, New Orleans being New Orleans and Orlando. I didn't like that. I wanted that to be in Baton Rouge and here in Tallahassee. So, that's disappointing. From moving forward, this I get excited about. Being on opposing campuses with real cachet and real tradition. I think a ton of us will travel as well. Chef Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your real.
Contractors to install your roof as well, and we will match or beat any other price in tile. Find us online at metalroofingSales.net. You can trust the 3 generations of service under one roof.
Beth, you're in charge of ordering the tacos for the meeting today, yeah?
I'm not going to order the tacos.
What?
I'm going to Easy Cater the tacos. With Easy Cater, you can order from a huge variety of restaurants, track expenses, and save time.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, you're emailing the meeting notes, right?
No, I'm going to easy mail them. Where's my music?
Sorry, Ben. There's no Easy Cater for that.
Easy Cater, the easy way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day.
Who let the dogs out?
Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti. Right,
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape, and
Never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Oh, to be tied at 28 heading into the fourth quarter, huh? Ooh, would that get the juices flowing a little bit? To be tied at all, to be close, to be in the game. I wonder how many truly believe it's going to happen. How many think that, in fact, this is going to be a great game and that it's going to be close and that Florida State is going to be in a position to win it? I see in the chat that a lot of people typically say that, they think Florida State's going to win it, or I'll get emails to that end, or I'll see it on the boards. I wonder deep down, though, how many people really, really think that. I know this. I know if it were there, you wouldn't think it for sure. If it were a neutral site game or at Alabama, you wouldn't think it at all.
No way. No way. But what I'd say is that if it's 28 all in the fourth quarter, first of all, you've flown past the over, because we're talking about, you've mentioned the spread a lot.
50.5 is the total, yeah.
Yeah, 50.5 is the total. And that seems about right. But I guess you could see where if we're successful with the up-tempo offense and the defense gives up a couple of explosive plays, like that's one thing we talked about when these coordinators first took the job, specifically Gus. Florida State could run away from some teams that you don't expect them to have a big lead on, or at least establish themselves in the first half because of the tempo. You catch a turnover, which we don't hardly ever do at this program. It'd be nice to get back to some of those. But you get a turnover, a short field, and the up-tempo is causing confusion. I mean, you could be up in one of those four games, like in the second quarter, 21-10, and you're going, holy cow, this is unbelievable. Or on the other side, with this offense at the pace it runs, and if the defense isn't up to task early in the game, you could be down 21-10 in the second quarter. There's just so much volatility in the style that we're about to play. It's not ball control in the terms of fewer possessions and shrinking the game. It's ball control instead in terms of running the ball. But with the tempo, man, a lot of stuff can happen. And to me, looking at the number, I'd shade towards the over on most of the games early before I think, Vegas gets a handle on us. I feel like because of that offense and how, gimmicky it can be, you could get a couple of cheapy touchdowns early, and next thing you know, you're in a score fest, whereas last year we were just hoping to score 14 against the likes of Cal.
I think the season at hand is a bit of a roller coaster because of it, too. And I mean, even within games, to your point, I think you're going to see some games where things aren't going as well as they should you have a couple of quick 3-and-outs. I think there's volatility. When in the betting market, typically when you're looking, like when you're trying to put together a team for, like we will for the Open this week, I don't want to get into the in-depth in this, but you're looking for some volatility where the high end of a player would allow you to see success in a way that most gamblers, most bettors will not engage in, where they take a guy who's perfectly capable of missing the cut by like 6 strokes, but also winning the tournament. If you take a guy like that, the percentage of people that have him are very small, and therefore, if you're in a massive pool or a massive tournament, like a fantasy one, like a draft one, then you got a chance to really score major points and separate yourself. I think Florida State football will be that way on the offensive and defensive side this year. I think you're going to see a lot of volatility. I think Tony White's defense will be predicated on that kind of volatility as well. There will be games where they force turnovers, where they pressure the quarterback from all angles, and they create turnovers in a way that we haven't seen a Florida State defense do in a long time. Those gambles, those pressures, that style, I think will also lead to giving up big plays. I think they're going to be. You said it last week. I think we were talking about something on the air about defense and what it's going to look like. And you said, yeah, sometimes they're going to call the right play into the teeth of what, into the call that we made, and it's going to be a big play for us. And other times it's going to be the perfect call, away from it. But we're taking risks. We're taking chances. There's volatility involved in a style of play like that. You're not just keeping everything in front of you, with a 2 deep and a basic 4-3. You're trying to create a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, both sides of Florida State's operation are trying to create confusion and chaos. And the example I was talking about was Marcus Freeman versus Mike Norvell in Cincinnati, because I remember doing prep for the Notre Dame games, even when Marcus was just the defensive coordinator there under Brian Kelly. And the easiest example to envision would be like an all-out blitz from the field, including the corner, and you call a bubble screen, to that side of the field. You're like, right. Oh my God.
Oops.
We're caught with our pants down in this situation.
We got a problem here. Yeah.
Right. You blitz into a screen from the same side. If you could just get the pass off, like you have the world in front of you. Well, there are a lot of smaller, more subtle examples of that where you could have run blitzes that are called to the wrong side or whatever it is. Safety shades a certain way because he's got to cover up. And the next thing you know, like there's daylight and he's gone, whoever it is. Yeah, I think that can happen. Certainly a bunch this year for Florida State on both sides of the ball. And you're just going to have to be able to live with that. Like there are certain things with every coordinator, and because we didn't change head coaches, I don't know that maybe we realize it, but even with coordinators, as drastic as these changes are, there are strengths to those coordinators and there are weaknesses to those coordinators. And this year's offensive and defensive coordinators for Florida State could not be more different in the way that they go about what they do. I understand that if you put it on a grease board and there's no movement pre-snap, that Gus and Mike's offense looks very similar. It's executed very differently. And then Tony White and Adam Fuller could be no more different. It's going to be incredibly frustrating early on and then rewarding. Like we could be assembling on a Monday talking about who went above and beyond on a given week. And it could be anybody. It could be Deuce Robinson. It could be Chroma. It could be Elijah Herring had 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and a touchdown. Weird stuff is going to happen this year.
It won't be weird when you're visiting aboveandbeyondvr.com. You'll just see straightforward 30-plus properties, 18 of which have a pool, some right on the water, some just down the street from it, others in the midst of a beautiful city center area and park. You choose where it is you want to stay, and you do so sans the unnecessary fees that are a VRBO fee or any of the other renting or booking outlets that you see or apps that you see. And if you go to aboveandbeyondvr.com to book, type in the code JCS and you save 10% more. Man, forget about it. Look at it. There it is. A little cottage on the Pinellas Trail. We've seen that. Coastal Bliss at Paradise Cove. We've seen that. You and I have seen, of course, the bungalow. We've also seen the luxurious condo right on the water in Clearwater. You've got the rustic cabin as well. So many places. Type that in. You're not even seeing the full savings because Tom hasn't typed in JCS yet. But if he did, 10% off those prices, and those are 4 nights. Beautiful thing if you're watching online, aboveandbeyondvr.com. Book today. Get your vacation in before things get geared up for football season in August. Now's your time. Hell, you're right there by a tiki bar. That doesn't suck. It's a beautiful thing.
$500 for a 4-night stay? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, John Hyatt sings a song, Thank God the Tiki Bar is open. There you go. I was just thinking.
That reminds me of the giant thatch hut in St. George, and it used to be Doc something's.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was a nice place to the thatch hut there's something welcoming about it. Very welcoming.
Well, it's shade, and they serve drinks.
Yeah, you're never really under a thatch hut to pay bills like you go to the DMV, are you? Like you're always, if you're under a thatch hut, you're either on a tropical vacation or just driving down to the beach.
Panama Jack shares my concerns about a 3-3-5, but we're not beholden to a 3-3-5, and that's the important thing. Also, gonna need Darryl to be, I don't know, capable of playing up to his size, playing to where what he should be, right? I mean, like be what 335 plus pounds says you should be. Let's hope. Let's just hope it happens that way, because I think it's of vital importance that he be a grown-ass man this upcoming season in a way that he hasn't consistently been here.
Well, and what are we asking him to do? Where on the line are you lining him up? Is it a 0 over the ball? Is it a 1? Is it a 3? And if he's not your guy over the ball, then who is?
If he's not, you're in trouble.
The guy body type-wise that has the potential to turn into something for that position is Kevin Wynn. Yep.
Yeah, he's a freshman. He has the body type for it. He's exactly the body type. Can you really rely on a true freshman? You and I are on the same page on this. I think we know what this offense is going to be. There are going to be aspects of the offense that we like, aspects that we don't like. Frustrations lie there within. Defensively, I have no idea. I do not know if they have the personnel to run what they want to run. I don't know of that personnel which ones receive a huge shot in the arm because of this defensive switch and which ones become secondary and moved out of their starting roles, which ones can supply what you need and the bastardization of it, because we're going to run a lot of to me, I think we're gonna come in and out of that 3-3-5. So I just don't know. And in that way, it is infinitely intriguing. It really is. I can't say good or bad. I have my questions about whether or not we have a depth of talent and a depth of personnel necessary to excel in Tony White's first year. That doesn't mean we can't be adequate. Doesn't mean we can't be pretty good. Doesn't mean that most days we're equipped for the fight. I think for the bigger games, the big 4 games, I'm not so sure we are, but I do not know that yet. So I'll be fascinated to see how this plays out.
Well, this is where, you're right about the Alabama game being noisy. It's going to be tough to draw any conclusions. Even if we were to score the upset, like, okay, this is awesome. I want this in my life, more of this. But I don't know what I just watched. We're all not sure after one game. But by the time you get to Virginia and Miami and Pitt, and one of the most basic things you look at PFF for that is good, and you can take to the bank, are snap counts. And you get to see the snap counts for each of those games at defensive line and linebacker and safety. That's going to give you some real information as to what we are for 1 year, in a transitional year. Because if Tony is around next season, the personnel is going to match what he wants to do all the more. But this year he's got to, piece it together.
Yeah, it'll better match. I don't know if it will completely match. It takes some time to recruit to a system shift like this. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I'm very intrigued to see how he chooses to use the pieces that he does have. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Number 3, I should say. Stay with Power Hour, bonus hour. Hang in. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help you